Everybody knows that sport jiu-jitsu works when you agree to follow grappling rules, but what happens when strikes are involved? Well, I'm here with professional MMA fighter Oliver Enkamp to test just that. I'm gonna put myself in common sport jiu-jitsu positions with Oliver, but the catch is only Oliver is allowed to strike.
This will be fun.
I'm gonna rank them all and then crown the best and the worst at the end. First position is supine open guard. In this challenge, I wanna stay in the position as long as possible to really evaluate it. So I'm trying to stay on my back and keep him away by pushing him with my feet so that he can't punch me in the face. But he's able to close the distance as I get more and more tired, so I have to either sweep him or get up if I wanna survive. Luckily, he's not even kicking me, but I'm still having a hard time doing jiu-jitsu even with just light punches. Finally, I'm able to get to his back, but not without taking some significant damage first. I'm giving this one a B tier since I can keep him off me for a little while, but I don't have that much control over him. But let's see what Oliver thinks. How did you feel on top, Oliver?
Dominant. Well, they say you punch a black belt once, it comes a blue belt, you punch him twice, it becomes a white belt. I think the safest would be either to start kicking and make more distance, or do the opposite and try to come under me, too close for my strikes, you know?
Let's go to the next position, close guard.
All right, let's see, Gracie combatives.
In this round, I think I stand a better chance of holding him close to me so he can't punch me. I try to go for a classic armbar submission, but I accidentally give him space to get out and he starts punching me. I have to quickly grab him again, but he can still throw elbows. I can't get enough control and suddenly he stands up. We're back to square one. I'm in a dilemma. Do I stand up too or do I try to grab him again? I decide to put him back in my closed guard and try to submit him, but it's just like he said. Punch somebody and their jiu-jitsu gets worse. I'm giving this one A tier since I can control him more, but my back's stuck to the mat.
Well, it felt more threatening than when I was standing up, because you would always go for the arm bars.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start climbing with your legs, I have to go into defensive mode instead of attack.
We've only got 5 more to go to find out which will be the champion position.
So now, we're gonna try half guard.
I'm tired of being stuck on my back, so I think I'll have a better chance if I can just stand up. But even if I can close distance, I still feel trapped, and I have to block my face from Oliver's punches somehow. Luckily, I get a split second to post on my hand and stand up, but not until Oliver hits me with an unexpected foot sweep. But I'm determined to keep testing this position, so I put him back in half guard to try to stand up again, but suddenly I find myself in an even worse position. I have to escape or else I'm in big trouble, so I do everything I can to get back to half guard. But Oliver knows my plan now and I'm running out of time, so I switch to butterfly guard so I can try to get on top with one of my favorite sweeps. But of course, Oliver doesn't want to be on bottom, so he stands up. I think I'm learning something here. I'm giving this one C tier since I still have a chance to stand up, but it's really hard with my leg trapped.
I actually think half guard is the best controlling position from top. In half guard, I lock your lower body and I can pin your upper body,
Right.
especially from diagonal like this. This is impossible to get out of if I can strike. As soon as I pass into a better position in BJJ, now you can use your legs and run around way more.
De La Hiva guard.
This is one of the strongest positions in sport competitions. You have so many options, but with Oliver, I feel extremely vulnerable already. Since to hold him in De La Hiva, I have to use my left hand to control his foot, which means I have only one hand to block his punches, so now my sweeps and attacks are very limited. This is going nowhere good. I bail on this position and just try to circle around the back to stand up. This is definitely an F tier. If I try to hold this position, I'm just gonna get my face smashed.
You're almost in a better position in one way. You can use all those up kicks to keep me away.
In most MMA rules, I'm allowed to kick you in the face from the bottom.
Yes, but I'm not allowed to kick you in the face from top.
But in a self-defense scenario, all that goes out the window.
Yeah.
Now we're in the weeds of sport jiu-jitsu with just a few positions left.
Spider guard.
I'm lacking confidence in this spider lasso setup since I have to somehow control both of his hands. This is way more common when they're wearing a gi. But to my surprise, thanks to his gloves, I can actually sometimes control his wrists, which makes it so he can't punch me. Interesting. But I still have to give this an F tier since it's really hard to grab both of his wrists or attack him at all.
So this obviously works better if I'm trying to grapple with you and not strike.
Right.
Because now my limbs are moving way too much.
We've had 2 F tiers in a row, but can this next one save the day?
Deep half.
Okay.
I'm hoping I can pull off a quick sweep, but suddenly Oliver starts hitting me right in the face. And all my moves here require both of my hands, so I can't do anything while he's hitting me. By this point, if he was hitting me full force, I'd be done for it. But instead, I take advantage of him being nice and work my sweep to get back into top position. This is clearly another F tier. This is somewhere I do not want to be for any extended period of time.
Tough spot. Don't push yourself there.
Don't go to deep half.
No.
Okay.
Now that I had picked all of the positions, I wanted to switch it up a bit.
Actually, I'll let you pick the last position.
Okay. Wouldn't it be interesting if we switched top and bottom so you can start on top somehow?
Do you want to start in bottom turtle?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this should be a dominant position for me. If I can take his back and choke him out, then I win. But he's doing something unusual again. He's trying to stand up. I should have kept him broken down before this happened, but I was too late. Now I'm on bottom taking his punches again, and yet I was the one who started on top this time. If I let him pass my guard, I'm worried I'll eat more strikes. So now I go to turtle, which is something I do all the time in sport competition to avoid my opponent getting passing points. I'm so flustered now with him keeping me broken down, and I'm worried about eating strikes, and suddenly he's getting his hooks in. How did this happen? Turtle for sure gets an F tier unless you actively stand up or go back to guard.
I usually like to go up when I'm into the tripod to try to get you and tip off.
And you got to what might be the ultimate position at the end. I think I was dead right there.
Now, before we get some more MMA advice from Oliver, I'm gonna have to give deep half the worst award of the positions we tested, with an honorable mention for getting flattened out with your back taken. But almost all these guard positions were not optimal. In competition, being on my back is preferable sometimes, but it turns out being on my back when Oliver can hit me is almost never where I wanna be. So I guess the champion is being on top. Now, I called these sport jiu-jitsu positions, but really sport jiu-jitsu also has takedowns and top position, which transfers to MMA and self-defense. So we can't say that sport jiu-jitsu is bad, but instead we just have to remember the time and place for certain techniques and positions. But I wonder what Oliver thinks. Oliver, what advice can you give me?
Well, in MMA we have this saying, higher man wins. So you want to be on top, obviously. So when on the bottom, the first priority should be standing up, the second one should be sweeping, and the third one should be looking for submissions. And when I'm on top, I'm not looking for submissions either. I'm just, number one, controlling the position. Number two, when I have control, I start striking. And number three, if you give me an opportunity, I will go for a submission, like an arm or a neck. So you need to prioritize in the right order. I think the pace is much higher, obviously, when there's strikes involved, and you get way more stressed from the bottom. You gotta have a lot of patience and be able to have what we call fudoshin, which is like a immovable mind, meaning you can stay calm under pressure and you don't think about how the strikes affect you. You just let them fly off of you while you work step by step to get to the next position that you need to. So it's way more mind games than just physical techniques.
That was very difficult for me to do because every time you would just touch my head, it was difficult for me to think and I would have to reset my position. I can't even imagine if you were striking full force like in a real MMA fight.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of those shots to stop you in your tracks. So I just have to do one or two good punches and then I can adjust my position and if you start attacking, just one elbow and you have to start over from square one, basically. You need to create space immediately with whatever frames you can. So if your arms are stuck, use your head as a frame, and then you can get an arm as a frame, and then you can get maybe your shoulders, and then your knees, and then you can start creating the space because it makes it harder for me to strike. So use all frames you have to create space, and then you'll be able to stand up. And maybe if I put too much pressure on you, you can use my momentum to sweep me instead.
Well, I've learned a whole lot, Oliver. Thank you so much for beating me up once again.
You can follow me on my social media, Oliver Enkamp at Instagram and Facebook. if you want more content like this.
I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and big thanks to all my current supporters in the channel memberships and on Patreon. If you want to support the channel too, hit subscribe and consider joining as well. Links in the description. If you liked this video, you might also like this one where I challenged Oliver's brother Jesse Enkamp in 4 different sparring rounds.